some of us are aspiring to be rich enough to be invited to sketchy islands,
Oh, I don't know. Okay. I want to go to the nice, non-sketchy islands.
I mean, no, I'm saying invited. I ain't going.
Yeah, you at least want to be invited.
You want to be invited, and then you want to politely decline.
People always say no. Oh, God, they used to invite me to Epstein's Island all the time, but I was like, some of the people going over there seem gross to me. I don't want to be stuck on an island with you freaks. We bought our own island and then had cooler parties, women only.
Unity party. Wait, women only?
Well, just for my, if I'm going to have an island, it's going to be an all-women.
That's fair. Do you know who you're voting for? We don't.
But the election's coming up, so it's time to figure it out.
This is the Are We Wrong podcast.
I'm AI Norman.
I'm Demi Chang, and we're comedians in Austin, Texas.
And we've decided that we are the people best suited to help you figure out who to vote for.
At the start of each episode, we're going to pick an election topic from this bucket.
We'll start by saying which candidate we think we're most aligned with on that topic.
And then we're going to explore each topic and be as candid as you wish you could be.
Then we'll reveal each candidate's platforms and we'll re-vote and see if our vote changes. And we encourage you all to follow along at home with that same experiment.
Are we wrong? Are we right? Let us know in the comments what we got right and what we got wrong.
And if you want to tell us why we're wrong in person, you can come to our live Are We Wrong show. It will be held at Something Cool Studios in Austin, Texas on October 26th at 8 p.m. in time to figure out who to vote for before the election. And we'll have on guests more special than we are to help us sort this out.
Tickets are available at the link below or arewewrong.eventbrite.com.
Hope to see you there.
Let's get started.
Double, toil and trouble.
Taxes. And I also added, what's the deal with taxing on tips?
Oh yeah, taxes, that's the big one. Okay, so off the bat.
Oh, she has a close-up. Let's do that.
Who do we think we're most aligned with on taxes? Oh, let me think. All right.
Starting out, all in favor for Trump on his views of taxes. All right. And all in favor for Kamala Harris and her views on taxes.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see by the end. What's your wrongest thought about taxes?
My wrongest thought is that if we just killed some of the billionaire kids who, we have a lot of people who are just kind of living from their parents' wealth and they're not actually doing anything with that money. If we just assassinate it, like if we have an underground government who's doing up things like we supposedly do, they kill people, or if they can kill presidents, then why not just kill some of those people and fake some wills that say that they want all of their money to go to fixing the country or something like that.
I got lost.
Well, I just want to kill, I just feel like we have a lot of spoiled rich kids, trust fund kids, whatever, who aren't really doing anything with their money. They just spend it on luxury stuff and vacations, oftentimes in foreign countries. And if you have a bunch of wealth, that energy exchange of that money means you're supposed to be like, oh, you're so smart and good, whatever, you do something with that. Like make our country better, build things, build services, build companies that are doing useful things. So if you're not doing that with all your money, but you can just, your lawyers are good at keeping you from having to pay taxes, whatever, it's not income. And so like some of those people just need to be assassinated or publicly ridiculed. Like
we are not condoning violence.
That you said my wrongest thought. This is not what I actually think we should do, but
yes.
On some level, maybe we could throw poop at them until, or if there are these people who are already going to be maniac shooters, like don't kill Trump, kill those kids. I don't know.
All right.
But I'm not, again, that's not an endorsement of any of that.
Yeah, these are just jokes.
What's your most up thought about taxes?
Well, I used to hook up with this guy in college who owned his own business and everything, and he said, I'm a Democrat, but to be honest, I'm about to enter a tax bracket where I have to become a Republican. And it got me thinking, it's easy when you're broke to say things like, no, we don't want tax cuts for the rich, we don't want this, that. But, you know, some of us are aspiring to be rich enough to be invited to sketchy islands, you know?
Oh, I don't know. Okay. I want to go to the nice, non-sketchy islands.
I mean, no, I'm saying invited. I ain't going.
Yeah, you at least want to be invited.
You want to be invited, and then you want to politely
and then
decline.
People say no. Oh God, they used to invite me to Epstein's Island all the time, but I was like, some of the people going over there seem gross to me. I don't want to be stuck on an island with you freaks. We bought our own island and then had cooler parties, women only.
Unity party. Wait, women only.
Well, just for my, if I'm going to have an
Okay.
island, it's going to be an all-women.
That's fair. I'll make a.
You can have your own island.
Yeah. Only 2 genders, though.
You can have 2 gender islands. 2 genders, no kids. I'll have 1 gender, no kids. Whatever.
Okay.
Everyone can have their own island.
Bottom line, no kids on our islands.
Yeah, no kids. No kids invited or allowed at all, actually. But
Okay. Nice.
Okay. So, but that's our rich people island. Okay, well that leads us into our discussion of all of this pretty nicely, because your offensive thought was just generally kind of where people are with this. Like everyone thinks that they're a Democrat when they're poor. All of a sudden, you know, you become a Republican when you have a tax bracket and you're not just getting money back. And that's true. Like I think about taxes, it's like we all complain when rich people hire their people to pay as little taxes as possible. But then when we do our taxes, we're trying to pay as little money as possible. We're trying to figure out, oh, maybe do I need to report that? And how can I deduct this? And I'm sure was this lunch a business meeting? Sure was. We could have written a joke here. We didn't, but we could have.
Yeah.
And so technically everything I ever do in my entire life is business, you know? So we're willing to cheat. But I do think it becomes a little bit crazy when you're so rich and you're putting money outside of your country in order to not pay taxes, and you're giving, I'm like, you shouldn't, like, be a patriot to some extent. Some of the money does go to the roads and the schools and stuff. Like,
Yeah, we need to bring those offshore banks to the Gulf
yeah,
so they can be offshore in America.
Bring offshore banks back to this country.
Yeah, we have a
Make
lot of
American
shoreline.
offshore banks great again. Yeah, we have plenty of shores we can be off of.
Yeah, and like the more the water rises, the more shores.
The more shores we can have.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I think it's just deeply unpatriotic to be doing that. And I actually tried to pay more taxes this year. I tried because I don't want the IRS to be like ever like being like mad at me and looking around. I don't want them to ever have me show my work because my paperwork is a lot. It's, you know what I mean? How long are we supposed to keep all these? I don't know.
So you err on the
So
side.
I was trying to be like, oh, look, please, I'm trying to pay you guys actually a little bit more money every year.
I do that at restaurants. I'm afraid that people think I'm a cheap Asian, so I over-tip to correct the stereotype.
We all overtip.
But I can't afford that.
We can't. I know. It's so embarrassing. It's just so uncomfortable. But so, yeah, so I'm like, I'm trying to pay a little bit. I feel like I should pay something. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, okay, however much money I make, I should pay a little. And then hopefully every year I should be paying them a little bit more.
But if you're doing it right, then they should be paying you.
Right. I'm trying, but they did. That's the problem.
Right.
I'm like,
That's good.
why are you sending me this money back? Don't send me this money back.
Oh, that's good.
I guess, but I'm trying to make sure that the IRS doesn't get, and also I do feel like I should be contributing something. So I'm trying to just give more to charity now. But that's one of those arguments that people have is like, hey, instead of the idea that the government should be the source of all of our charitable, the bottom floor of people, like housing and feeding the poor and the widows and the children, that's something that private organizations could do. And I hear that a lot, but like I don't know how much people are really like, okay, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, which ones are still alive? And whoever the
So
rich
far,
people,
both.
like Warren Buffett, like, okay, I know, like Warren Buffett, I think kind of famously was like, you guys keep giving me back my tax. I'm trying to pay more, or I know I should pay more, but if this is the system, I'm not. I'm like, okay, but then, yeah, and I know Warren Buffett does give a lot to charity, but like, it should be like, let's do that then. Kind of is crazy. We got rid of like religiosity in this country to a large extent, but then with that, like we all did a lot of charity, and people who are Christians and Muslims and stuff still give a lot more to charity than atheists. And so we have all these atheists who think they're so good and smart without religion, but it's like, wait, when was the last time you volunteered for anything besides your political but like actually did something, actually donated to charity? Like we do need a system.
Yeah, I do. Well, I have a couple thoughts that are at least semi-related, but I have a friend in DC who is volunteering for the Kamala campaign, and he's like, yeah, they have us working like 40 hours a week, like volunteering 40 hours a week and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, you must really love Kamala. And he's like, no, I just really hate Trump. And I'm like, they have you guys working full-time jobs, volunteering your time to help the cause. I don't, maybe he is. I should double check that before I spread. Okay, maybe.
Why did they need all that money they're begging us for every day then?
I know. Oh, well, that was my next question, because you brought up churches and stuff. What do you think about like using religious structures as tax shelters?
You mean, what do I think about in terms of?
Like when people open up mega churches and they're like, it's a write-off. And then.
Yeah, I don't know if, I don't know. This is something we would need to have someone come on and explain to us the ins and outs of whether churches should be these tax-free situations. Yeah, especially if you're not going to house people during a hurricane or whatever, then I kind of think you lose it, and it invites corruption. But okay, so in terms of the political candidates, we're going to be tight, but they're always like, oh, you're going to cut taxes on the rich, and oh, you're going to raise taxes on everybody. That's usually the thing, right? Democrats, for my lifetime, have been saying, hey, Republicans, you're going to only give tax cuts to your wealthy friends. And then the Republicans go, hey, you're going to raise taxes on everybody. We know trickle-down in economics doesn't really work, because rich people like to pocket that money, buy more yachts or children islands or whatever.
Or children.
That's what I'm saying. You know, it's expensive if you want to have an island full of kids. So, or whatever, or just a lot of drugs and things, whatever the rich people do. So we know it doesn't really trickle down to us. So I don't really want to cut, but we also know that we need, if the taxes are too high on corporations, then they do just move them to overseas or something. So,
but how much is too much for corporations? Because that's my thing with taxes is, if we tax corporations more, but are they drawing the line at something that is a ludicrous amount, or are they just being nitpicky so they can pocket more? I've never actually looked at.
Yeah, we'd have to look at like all the other countries and what they're doing. Are there places that we could, because there's individual tax and then there's corporate tax, and then I don't think we should do the thing where you tax unrealized capital gains. I know there's something like that in the, like, where they're saying, hey, maybe we should tax you on money you might earn or something. That's crazy.
Can you put a pop-up that explains unrealized capital
gains? I think that's one that maybe Kamala's in favor of potentially, but Trump's not. I just want to simplify the tax case. Isn't there a way
How
to
would you
simplify it? Well, I don't know, because there's a part of me that wants to be like, hey, it would be cool if instead of taxing income at all, which is an enormous nightmare for most of us to be doing with our taxes, and you can't even be honest if you want to be, because you're like, this is too complicated. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, under the threat of
and everything always says you're going to go to prison if you do this wrong. I'm like, I couldn't do this wrong if you give me 100 years. You know, like I would need so many people helping me, and I still wouldn't be able to do this right.
It's like a field sobriety test. Can you say the alphabet backwards right now?
No, ZYX is W. Is that already wrong? Yeah, I'd have to go forward and to go backwards after that.
We're all screwed.
So I can do this though, but
yeah.
So, and I don't know. I think I don't want to pay. I'm happy actually to pay more in taxes. So I think that makes me very Democrat, because I'm trying to pay. I don't want to pay more than I can afford, but I want to pay what I can afford. And I want everyone to pay what they can afford, but then I want those taxes to be used well, and I want to get our fucking deficit down. It's crazy.
That's very noble of you. I miss getting money back on taxes, but even when I was married, which some people get married for tax purposes and you can file jointly, we always filed separately because of, our individual financial backgrounds and stuff.
Aren't you getting paid a bunch of untaxed income
Oh,
for
yes.
comedy? Well,
wait.
So that's the thing.
I thought you meant
When
the
you
other
got-
one.
No, when you got paid money for a job, then they took money out, and then so that's when you were getting stuff back. But when we're getting money for most comedy stuff, they're not taking any taxes out. So instead of thinking of it as like, yay, I made all this money, or this $20 or whatever it is, instead of thinking that, if you every time that someone pays you in a way that even might be traceable, then you take 20% out of that and put it into your little tax, a savings account. And you don't think of it as, oh, OnlyFans just paid me $4,000. You think of it as OnlyFans just paid me $3,200. You put that money over there, then you do get taxes back. Because if you do it, then that's what happened to me. I tried to pay them money. I filed an extension, so I paid them beforehand. And they're like, we're going to send you all this back. You're like, and then some. You're like, what? So that's what you do. You need to take it out. And that's just an adult thing to do. Take it out. Think of it as you didn't earn that, and then when you do your taxes, you probably will wind up being like, "Wow, I saved $2,700 for taxes, and they only took $1,200." So you do get $1,500 back. You just need to think of it like that as an adult. Instead of these rappers or comedians or whoever who's like, "Oh, I got paid $1 million this year," and they're so used to being poor that they don't save any of it for taxes, and they're like, "What? I spent it all on cocaine and hookers."
Yeah, I think but I think that principle also rubs some people wrong because, for example, let's say a lottery or a game show where it's like, oh, you win $1 million, but really it's not $1 million because it gets taxed and all that stuff. So I think maybe it's the cynics, the fact that we do have to think about it that way, that it's like, that's not all your money. Even though you worked all those hours at this rate, technically it's,
it's all weird. Well, that's why I say it would be great if we could get rid of income tax completely and just make it based on like what you buy. I think that would be, in a vacuum, I think that would be awesome. Like if we were the only country, for instance, that would be awesome because then you could
in the world?
Like if if it was just one world government, or we were the only country, if we didn't have global trade, whatever, then we could think of it as, okay, so we'll tax yachts a lot and cigarettes a lot, sure, but we won't tax oil or food at all. And then we can give, no tax on tampons. That would be great, no tax on tampons. And then so that the boys don't feel left out, we can do no tax on Kleenex and socks.
But we have pink tax too.
But that's what I'm saying. We get rid of the pink taxes and the blue taxes. We'll try to even that out, right? No tax on socks and Kleenex for you, no tax on tampons for us.
What color are condom taxes? Purple?
I think either way, no tax on things like that we want. You want people to use condoms, so you don't tax those. And then stuff like vacuums, you tax a little, whatever. But so you make it progressive so that it's rich people shit that's taxed really high. The problem is if we're competing with Germany on making yachts and ours are taxed really high, then people will just buy the German yachts.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that doesn't work. So it's like, I don't know, in this kind of world, we need to just find 8 autistic economists of various political stripes and let them come up with a completely new tax. Can we vote for stuff like that? You know what I mean?
I think getting 8 autistic people in the top of their field for any of these topics would probably solve it. My other solution is to get all the world leaders in a room, probably a yurt, and for them to all do ayahuasca together.
Yes, and then talk about abortion. Okay.
Talk about all these issues. They should reproduce this podcast on shrooms or something.
Well, maybe we should do ayahuasca next season. Okay. Well, I don't know if we have talked about anything that's going to be on the platform, but let's see what the candidates have to say.
Okay, perfect.
Kamala Harris wants to unwind some Trump tax cuts. Harris called for repealing the entire Trump tax cuts as a presidential candidate in 2020. During his tenure, Biden has called for unwinding those tax breaks for Americans making more than $400,000 a year, and raising the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28%. Wait, so Biden he wants to get rid of the tax breaks for 400K plus people, and he wants to raise the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28%. His platform also proposes a $3,600 per child tax break for families, an $800 average tax cut for frontline workers, what is that, nurses? And a 25% minimum tax on billionaires. It's not yet clear which parts she will carry over. I wonder if that's a 25% minimum, just because if it's on billionaires, is it still just like on their income? We just know you are a billionaire? I don't really understand how that would work.
Well, this is just a you know, we
general-
can dig into this more.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
all right, let's see what Trump has to say.
Really short.
Wow, very short. Okay, that makes sense. Extend Trump tax cuts. Trump favors extending the Trump tax cuts if he is elected, according to a campaign official. Who is this guy? A source close to the couple. Okay. Major portions of that 2017 tax law expire at the end of 2025. Seems like a lot of things are expiring at the end
So
of
if he
2025.
doesn't extend them, then they will end.
So they're in motion right now.
Okay, well, let's...
Can we look up a thing? Can you please scroll back to Kamala? Can we look up like what other countries'
corporate
tax rates are? Is that a thing we could?
I definitely
Because
don't
you're-
understand why anyone who makes more than $400,000 a year really needs all these tax cuts. I mean, could you just pay more, please?
Yeah.
Could you pay more? And if you're gonna fight, and like, if you're someone who is really using your accountants, you know, if you've got a team of, can we say a team of Jews? Is that? It's
You
2024, I don't
can.
know.
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. If you have a good team of Jews who's helping you because they're so good at what they do, because they're smart and well-educated people, and hardworking. But so if you have
handsome.
a team, handsome,
just continuing.
I love it. Yeah, I love everything about it. But if you have a team of people who is helping you pay a little of tax as possible, can you at least spend as much as you pay that team onto charity that you think is actually really good for the world? Like, you know what I mean?
As long as the
real
charities-
charity. Stuff that's helping with health and education, stuff like, you know, go to the, you know, what's the
Trust
Peter
Pat-
Singer's
Yeah.
list of the ones that really do the most work, kind of a stuff.
Charity Navigator.
Yeah, there's things like that. Don't just give it to your pet weird political causes and call it charity, but really give it to, you know, because if you're spending all that money on the account, it must be worth it to pay that team as much money. So you must be saving 10 times as much as you're paying them. So then pay that 10% or whatever to real charities if you're going to put your work into that. Okay, highest statutory corporate income tax rates in the world. Comoros, a country I've never heard of. Has
Yeah,
a
what
50
the
Well, that's why we've never heard of them. That's
Wow.
too high, probably 50%. Is it? Okay. So Puerto Rico, then Suriname, Argentina, Chad, Colombia, Cuba.
I want to see who's lower than
So
us.
it's
Oh.
some poor ass country. A lot of poor ass countries with high tax rates. Mozambique. Okay. So
Lowest.
then once you get to lowest, wow. There's also a lot of countries that Timor-Leste. What
Where are we?
is that? I think we're in the middle, right? 'Cause we're like 21. Albania has 15%. Bulgaria is 10%. Hungary is 9%. I don't know.
We
UAE
just
is 9%.
learned that Dua Lipa is Albanian.
Half Albanian, half
Oh,
Euromud or something, I think. Oh.
but maybe that's a
There's
separate.
too many countries in the world.
Should we go on a conquest again, like, you know,
You mean take over the world?
like our forefathers used to do?
Oh, he was doesn't really tell, but
Oh,
Okay.
we like colors.
So average is 23.45%, which is right.
So-
We're a little below average right now. We can go a little above average, I think. And then. Wait.
Oh, wait.
go back
Yeah, the
up.
bell
I wanna
curve
see
was
what
good.
Europe was. Oh.
Oh,
So in Europe, they have fairly kind of low to average. Wait, go back to the chart. Wait, below world average. Their tax rates are actually pretty low to average.
wait. Can you go to the distribution curve right below this? Thank you.
The higher ones are the poorer countries.
Okay, so that was. Yeah, because we are between 20.
We're at 21 apparently right now,
Yeah.
and they want us to go to 28.
So yeah, we're average. So what's the big deal?
Yeah,
Okay,
it seems
I
like
have
not
my
that big
vote
a
ready.
deal. Yeah, I think I have my vote ready too.
all in favor for Kamala Harris on her views on taxes. Okay, and all in favor for Donald J. Trump on his views on taxes.
Okay, I think we got that.
All right.
All right.
Damn, I wish you were voting too, Cole.
I'm a little bit, I don't know
I
about
can.
these frontline workers.
You don't have to publish, but
The
if
frontline worker thing seems like a fucking pandery ass thing, though, to me. You know what I mean?
I feel like
Frontline-
I feel like COVID brought a lot of
Yeah,
pandering
can
shit.
we just
Like they changed the name of the Redskins during COVID, and then now they're like,
Yeah,
oopsies.
Look, I want poor people to have, but then we need to also make sure the incentives are not keeping people poor. You know how there's that thing where like sometimes it's better for a woman to be single because then she gets more tax. Like, I want to clean up some of that stuff. No more of this bullshit pandering. The nurses are paid pretty well, aren't they? Whatever. I don't know what frontline workers mean. If that's like some grocery store people, are they getting that? Like, I worked at Juice Land for a while during the pandemic. Like, no one's talking about that.
I feel like everyone was a frontline worker during COVID.
yeah, everyone's a front.
I didn't
don't
miss
know
a
about
single day of work during COVID. I was on active duty. I went to work every day.
Yeah, I hate it when Democrats do that feel-good shit that's just like, well, let's do a spotlight empathy on this one group and give them a little special something. No, fix the system. But anyway,
What if
so
they have
we're-
a tax cut just for black people? They're
right,
like, these are
exactly,
your
like,
reparations.
and maybe that's how we should have been doing reparations all along. Give a small tax break if you're black, especially if it's
How do you
slave
prove it?
heritage.
Because what if you have a Rachel Dolezal and then you have to...
Yeah, exactly, but whatever. Anyway, okay, so it looks like we're both begrudgingly or hesitantly, what's the word?
I
Like,
know, I'm surprised at the streak so far.
so far.
But this is why we're doing this.
This is why we're doing
This is
this.
cool. All right. Here, I'll bring this to you.
Go ahead and close out. Yeah, fair.
Okay.
All right.
2 votes cautiously for Kamala Harris.